How you doing? This is Josh. I want to take this opportunity to talk about a good friend of mine. He's no longer with us, so I'm not going to get into his exact job description or title or whatever, but he worked for a gentleman named Jean-Jacques Blais. Jean-Jacques Blais was the Minister of Defense for Canada. My buddy was his entrusted with basically the highest level of security within the nation. He was directly interfacing with other intelligence agencies around the world on a regular basis. Jean-Jacques Blais, there was a change in the power structure there. They had new elections or whatever, and so once the new the new cabinet kind of came in and took the role of the defense operations, there was no longer any room for him. There was no job for him available. The next defense council was I guess on a very different ideological mindset, and there was no overlap. So he was approached one day by a vehicle with three gentlemen in it, two men in the front, one in the back. The gentleman in the back he recognized as a senior, another guy that was there older than him, been around for a little bit. They got him, in the car, and I guess began to present him with an option. Before they said that he could undergo a procedure in which they were going to erase his memory, and back to a certain time. They were going to basically, it's under national security. He was posed with this option. They basically said, we want to do this procedure. If you agree with it, basically you're going to be able to retire on any beach that you want, sip on whiskey all day long, send your kids to college, and you won't have a care in the world. And it's your severance gift kind of thing. It was posed to him as a totally voluntary decision, and he asked, he said he asked them for some time to think on it, and they stressed the urgency that basically don't take a lot of time. So it was shortly after they approached him again. He told them that he didn't want to do that. He was like, I'm good. I'll settle with my regular pension, and I'll just bow out. And he basically didn't want to go through with any procedure like that. And so shortly thereafter, he was for all intents and purposes kidnapped and taken to a psychiatric ward. His memory goes really hazy, but he remembers he was always in a drug state. They were always administering drugs to him. He remembers he was in a chair, basically strapped down, his eyelids. He was unable to close his eyes, and there was a screen in front of him. Weird noises, blips, strange sounds, repetitive sentences over and over again. And one thing that he remembers explicitly was forget what you think, forget what you think, forget what you think. Consistently displayed in front of him, flicking in imagery, hearing it, amongst a whole lot of stuff, and endless drugs being pumped into him. So he's not even completely aware of how long he was in there, but he came out the other side a completely broken individual. There would be days when we would speak to him and he would be clear as a bell, and he would talk about how much, in exact numbers, how much per copy of this tank and per copy of this aircraft, and expenses of X amount of troops to be deployed, and it was amazing, the things that. And then there were other days that he was basically crippled, bent in half, couldn't even. The state what he was going through was it was almost really painful just to see it. You could see it in his eyes. He would tell me, he would say, they don't kill you. That's easy. He's like, they'll break you in half. So, you know, there's we're coming into a time here now where, you know, a lot of people that have served under specific ideologies, and, you know, they believe in their heart of hearts that what they did was right, and, you know, that's what God looks at. He looks at your heart. So that hopefully that eases the pain, because a lot of people have a hard time seeing that they are involved with something so heinous. You know, it's a hard thing to swallow, especially when you've devoted your life to it, and especially when you've seen loved ones dying because of it, you know. So speaking out against some of this stuff is really, it's inflammatory. It's inflammatory to a lot of people, because you actually have to come to terms with a lot of stuff that's real close to home. But they broke him in half. He's never the same dude. And they're not letting people just bow out gracefully anymore. You know, there's no exit exit confessions or any of that. No deathbed fucking memoirs, you know, that's quickly becoming a thing of the past. So, you know, a lot of people have a hard time even coming to terms with this mind control or mind manipulation. Even, you know, the extents that I'm talking about are it's quantum physics to someone that hasn't even learned addition and subtraction yet. But the fact that your mind is programmable, and they've worked all of it out. They've worked it out real good. You know, you can look back on when back in the 60s, they used to play the national anthem at the close of different channels, you know. They'd play the national anthem, they'd have the words scrolling across the screen. Go ahead and check this out. Even back then, they were flipping subliminal messages to you. This is a smoking gun, so you can go back and look at that. It's far back as the early 60s. Do your own projections and just wonder where we're at today with that type of technology, and then wonder at what you see going on in the news and everything else. Like, the hardest thing is to admit that you've been fooled. The hardest thing is to admit that you're not aware of something that's been done to you. And I think we all are becoming aware that something's being done to us. A lot of depression, a lot of things going on. Everyone's got their own reasons for it, but something's being done to us. Actually, Hive is going to be on a video with me coming up, and we're going to discuss this depression thing, and he's going to talk about it from his point of view. The thing about a lot of the media that we see is it's very sneaky, you know, in the sense to where, like, if you look at this objectively and just think for a minute, anytime you watch something on anything, doesn't matter, and you have an emotional reaction to it, whether it's a good emotion, whether it's a, you know, an angry emotion, a frustrated emotion, whatever, as soon as you're seeing something on a TV, and you are eliciting an emotion toward it, there's already been an element of mind control that has taken place in you. So, you know, a lot of people aren't willing to see that. They're not willing to understand that they could actually be affected by this. You know, it's always out there on the periphery. It's never, you know. So that's what I'm trying to do. Is I'm trying to bring this home, and I'm trying to tell you about a guy that served his country to the best of his ability, and served in the face of life and death, and did everything that was called of him to do. And in the end, he was treated like an expendable piece of shit. His mind was destroyed, his emotions, everything. He was literally, like you said, he was broken into. I want to leave you with this question. I'm kind of curious to find out who out there watching these videos recalls being separated out at an early age, first, second, third grade, even fourth, being separated out of the original class by some kind of moderators or para teachers or whatever. They came in, separated you out. Maybe you had dyslexia. They told you had dyslexia. Maybe they told you had another learning disability, and they separated you out. and you begin to do these different classes with these people on different levels. I'm wondering who out there has experienced that. And there's another level of this too. There's also people separated out because they were told they're advanced and they're ahead of their other people, the other students, and the exact opposite. One group felt shame, another group was feeling almost superior or special, more special than. And I'm curious to know how many people have had that experience, and then remembering that experience, can you remember exactly what happened in those classes? Some of those classes took place within the school or another building alternate to the school, or some of those classes took place in medical centers near the schools. I'd like to hear back from everyone. I'd like to get a census on this. We're getting some pretty interesting information, and this is, once again, this isn't just about me, trying to get a bunch of things off my chest, but this is me trying to help a lot of other people out. So I'll be back soon with Hive, and we're going to talk about this depression thing and some other aspects that a lot of people might not be taking into consideration regarding that. So until then, I wish you all the best. God bless.